just going to hop right into it. Go over the character sheets real quick. And this will be, so the first thing you need to do is you need to fold it up and take a look at it like this on the very back. Yeah. So this is the background. It's also the back page. It's going to give you a brief overview of your character, what they look like, who they are, what their upbringing or background was for that character, and then your fellow heroes. Each person has a built-in relationship with one other person at the table. We'll go over that in a minute once you guys have a chance to introduce your character. If you open up the right flap, you'll see miscellaneous equipment, relics, and notes. If there's anything that you think that you should have, based as we go through that should be in like a miner's kit or something like that, it's pretty easy to say, oh yes, of course you have that. Let's see, we have one character that has a relic, I believe. That would be Barolo. Essentially, a relic is something where you store a spell. So you have a, I believe it's a fiery weapon spell in there. What that enables you to do is for yourself and one other person, for 6 action points, you can touch someone else and point to yourself, and your weapons, any weapon you wield for 1 hour, will be able to erupt into flame.
So I can do 2 people, myself and someone else at the same time?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. At higher, as you gain more devotions, you could do more. You could essentially get the whole party.
Oh, is it 2 people because it's rank 2?
Yes, that's correct. So notes, some things on there are important. A lot of those are just placeholders if you've read the entire manual, etc. Anything to kind of take a look at here would be for Dalkin specifically, you get a +3 versus ranged attacks, so that's something to take a look at there, or to remember rather. If we then continue opening up the sheet with the left flap here, we have kind of additional background information. Personally, I like to use kind of like this when I'm thinking about my character as a whole. At the very top, you have goals. These are things that your character can do in order to gain additional trait points, skill points, money, etc. For example, Barolo, if you convert someone to your god of Gunragar, you will get additional skills or trait points.
Who wants to join Gunragar?
Me! Let's see, next is vocations. Vocations each have a score. All of your vocations, environments of renown, should have a score that is divisible by 10. But vocations is what you have trained in or have some professional knowledge in. And when you go to make a roll on a d10 die, you're trying to meet or beat a number that I'll tell you. And if you have a vocation that relates to that, divide the score by 10 to get the rank, and you get to add that number to your d10 roll. So for instance, what's your...
So for vocations, 10 natural science, so I divide that by, or 10 down to 5, 5 would be added to my roll.
10 divided by 10 is 1.
Yeah. Okay.
So you get a +1 anytime you're doing something kind of sciencey or logic, essentially. Next up is environments. They're the exact same thing, but they have to do with where you have been and the tangential experiences you might have. So someone on the docks probably knows how to identify ships. They knew knots, things like that.
So, wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Since my vocation is soldier, does that mean I get a +1 bonus whenever I'm fighting someone?
These are knowledges. So they're not, so like if you were to say, try and find a good place to lay an ambush, or you're trying to identify like heraldry or something, you get a bonus, but not on like attacks and things.
Okay.
Good question. Next up is renown. This is how famous you are. Everybody except for Dalkin will have 0 renown. Dalkin is famous. You saved somebody in the past and have gotten more fame. So someone might buy you a beer in like an inn or something like that. So, and then below that is money, which is based off of copper. We probably won't get into that too much here. Level and XP, pretty, played RPG before, should make pretty equal sense. So next, we want to open up so that the left flap at the front page is open, and then you have your background ready. So this is what I like to call adventure mode. This is essentially if you are not in combat and you're just kind of doing normal things, this is what you're going to want. So looking down on the left-hand side of the sheet, you've got some additional, like just player information, player and character information. Then you have action points. Action points are essentially a measure of how fast you are. Let's see, so Dalkin has 17 action points. So in a 6-second round of combat, Dalkin can move 17 meters. So on the map, each space is 1 meter. So if for movement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 spaces will subtract 6 action points from your track on the left-hand side, which you can track with a pencil or die, or in this instance, we're going to be using paper clips, because they're awesome. Additionally, you can use action points to do other actions, so swinging a weapon, opening a grate, pulling something out of your back, etc. Below that are traits. Traits are they're a fairly tight concept. They are both a location of a place in your body. They are a rating for something like your strength, your mobility, your fortitude, how smart you are, etc. They are also have their own independent health. So for instance, if you have a strength trait of 23, you are stronger than someone with a strength trait of 10, for example. So each one of these has your score, which is kind of like health points. So if you take, my character has 23 strength, if I were to take 23 damage to my strength, then I would be wounded, that would be a bad thing. Beyond that, each trait has a rank. Anytime you do something outside of an attack roll, trying to lift a gate, convince somebody of something, you get to add your strength rank. So if I'm lifting a gate, the target number is 7, I get to add my +2 rank. And in this instance, I would get an 8, so I would meet or beat that number, and I'd be good to go. And then it goes all the way down: arms, legs, body, head, face, etc. You have a couple other pieces of information here. Wounded and second wound. If you ever reach 0, you get big, your damage equals your score, then you become wounded, and you get penalties on your dice rolls. However, if you get to half of a trait, you'll get a second wind. What you do with that is you just mark it off like in a little box, and then you go all the way down to the bottom in second wind and add up how many of the second winds that you have. For each one of those, you'll get a bonus on attack checks. You get a bonus on damage and spell target numbers for bonus in this case. And we probably won't get to injuries in this game. At the bottom is daring. Daring is a little bit different. It doesn't have like a location that it's tied in with. And this is something that is like, how awesome are you? And it's another little pool that you get to use up. Anytime you do a short rest, which is 10 minutes, you get some of your daring back. Or in this instance, you can get 5 trait points back. So if that's not on there, you can mark that down at the very bottom. A long rest will get you to fort divided by 2, which you can use to put back into your traits. Questions on that so far?
They'll come up as we go.
As we go, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we open up the sheet, it gets really, really scary. The middle section, going straight down the middle, the important bit is the portion on the left. We're not going to care about burden for this. Your characters are such that you aren't carrying too much equipment. Everyone should have a -1, +0, or +1 here. Whenever you get attacked, you roll a d10 roll, and you get to add that number. So if you ever, on your d10 roll, if you roll a 10, that's a critical success. And if you roll a 1, that's a critical failure. For evasion, if you get a 10, there are a couple different actions that you can do for free. If you get a 1 on your evasion, you will be critically hit and take extra damage. Next up is your armor. Armor is location based. So you'll note that it kind of goes across the chart like that. So for example, Dalkin has on their body linen, laminate, and armor. So they've got, if they take damage elsewhere, less good because they won't absorb any damage. Every single piece of armor counts as damage reduction. So let's say you were going to, if you had taken 10 damage, for example, you would receive 10 damage. You would say, oh, they didn't do a cold shot or anything crazy like that. And you would say, well, I've got armor on my body, so I'm going to take the damage there. You would subtract the damage reduction, giving you 4 remaining, and then you would spend fortitude points to soak up the remaining damage. So in this instance, I would be at I would take -3 damage. Make sense? Kind of? A little bit?
I get the gist of it.
Okay. Yeah, and once you start taking damage, trust me, everything will become very clear.
I assume, yes.
Next up is shield. Shields are almost identical to armor, except that you can activate them. When you activate them, it reduces the durability. So in this kind of shield-like icon, you put a -1. And in the example before, I had 4 damage remaining. I could activate my shield, and there's a block bonus right there that I would further reduce the damage by. So if I had used the shield, I would receive no damage to any of my traits. Notes, feel free to use that if you're trying to remember things or anything like that. Next up is weapons. Name, clearly, damage. This is a heavy club, it deals 10 damage. That is, you don't have to roll or anything like that, it just deals 10 damage. If you get a critical hit, which is if you roll a 10, you'll deal the crit amount there. Below the heavy club, you've got a bonus, and that is probably for most folks going to be a +0. And then in AP, you should have 2 or 3 different numbers. That's just saying if you wanted to make additional attacks in a round, that would be 1 times, 2 times, and 3 times the AP cost for that weapon. So, for example, Dalkin has a heavy club. Dalkin has 17 action points. If Dalkin was up next to a target, Dalkin could spend 16 action points and get 2 attacks. Make sense? Okay. Type is one-handed savage. There's a little bit of information down here for precise, balance, and savage weapons. And then you have menace. Menace is a pretty important concept in combat. So if we have a couple of gribbly beasts, sitting around, you have essentially an area around you that, depending on your weapon, you will menace essentially. So Barolo has a menace of 3. So any creature, 1, 2, 3, within 3 spaces, you will provide to your allies a bonus for them to hit.
Okay.
And you've got a skill that's pretty cool, but someone like Dalkin, you only menace 1, so you'd have to be adjacent in order to provide a bonus to any of your allies. And that would be a +1 bonus for Dalkin. Range weapons. Everyone should have a ranged weapon. The only thing that's different there is that they have a range. In most games, your range is at least as long as, if it's on the mat, you can probably hit it. And we can track ammo. You don't have to track ammo for this. So next up, we're gonna move over the standard critical stuff. Is skills. Each character has a different set of skills that give you different bonuses.
What about reach?
Reach is how you calculate menace.
Okay.
So it's you add reach and you add your base reach together to get your menace.
Okay.
So each character has a couple of different skills that they can do. Dalkin, for example, has a shield slam. You can spend 5 of your trait points from any one of your traits, and you can get essentially a free attack. So for example, if you were to say, I want to do a shield slam versus F here, you would spend 5 from one of these traits, and then you would get to roll a d10 roll, and that would probably be a hit, dealing 12 damage, for example. Some of you will have devotions. These are spells that you can access. Dalkin has one, Barolo has one, and I don't believe Zan has one, but you've got invigorating allies, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where you can spend 5 and then give everybody back their vigor. Which is pretty good. And Omus, you have Earth Chant. So
Mastery, yeah.
Earth Mastery. So have you had a chance to look through some of those spells yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so let's get you going on that. There are a few listed. No, not on here.
Spiritual magic?
Spiritual magic, so close. So esoteric magic. So you have these spells available to you, and essentially, in order to use these spells, you will spend 10 AP to say I'm casting, and doing one of these spells here. You can go and kind of look at these. But for example, if you were to do, let's say you were to do Splinter Bones, for example. So you would say, okay, I'm going to spend my AP, which is 13, to do that on target, and then you would then spend trait points to power up the spell. For every 3 points that you spend, you'll deal an additional 1d6 damage.
Okay.
So that's the basic gist for your esoteric spells. But yeah, definitely take a look at those and then see what's hot or what's not. Questions on that before we get into it?
Do I have to pick spells, or do I just
You
get
have
to
them.
pull from?
Yeah. You fundamentally have power over the forces of the world, right? Like heat, motion, gravity, etc. So, and if there's something that you want to do that's not in there, you just let me know and we'll work with that.
We'll talk it out.
Yeah. And the spiritual magic is a little bit more limited. The gods give you some pretty cool powers, but they're not like, they don't bend a lot. So they just do the one thing. Cool beans? Alright,
Now,
so yeah.
I'm just gonna ask a question. Maybe I missed it. I'm assuming at the end or when it comes to our next turn, we regain the AP.
You regain all your AP at the beginning of every single turn. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is my dagger a savage?
Your curved dagger is precise.
So so then, what is the type? Can you just? I have the 1 HP and then R1 HS.
Ranged,
Okay.
one-handed savage.
Oh, gotcha.
So, and the reason why that's cool is because each type does different things on different attack options. So let's say you wanted to attack an item or destroy a shield or something like that. If you have a savage weapon, you will deal additional damage to items or armor, for example. If you do a critical for like a precise, for example, you'll actually bypass someone's armor completely. You found the chink in their armor, and they're definitely going to bleed, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, so you got a little extra incentive to do like critical attacks and things like that for precise weapons. Balanced weapons, you get bonuses when you attack traits and do called shots. Called shot is, it costs additional action points, but you can target a location on something. And then attacking an item is the forte for savage weapons. Yeah, and take a look at the cheat sheet. It's got attack options on there. It's got some reminders for what action points are, what they equal. But as we go through it, shouldn't be too big.